Stop. Reflect. Before you lies not merely a drawing, but a mirror of an era, and perhaps a summons to the forgotten depths of your being. A skeleton, this absolute abstraction of life, this stark symbol of finitude and naked truth, sits in an Epicurean or perhaps Stoic contemplative pose, its bony hand supporting a silent, mute jaw, while above it resonate words as sharp as a sword's edge. Stop being available. Is this just a guiding sign amidst the bustle of contemporary life, an invitation to manage time and set boundaries? Or does it represent, in its deepest reality, a spark of consciousness, a call to reclaim a plundered inner kingdom, to restore a lost sovereignty over the most precious thing we possess in a world that has rendered the human being utterly exposed, with doors and windows open to every passing wind, every night caller, every summons arising from the informational void? Delving into the depths of this phrase, through the portal of this dense symbol, is not merely an intellectual journey. It is an utmost necessity for diagnosing the malady of our age, and for gathering the scattered fragments of the soul in the face of the deluge of distraction that threatens to drown us all. What does it mean in the final analysis to be available in the current landscape of human existence? Availability has transcended its noble, traditional concept, associated with commendable social openness or human generosity in offering help. It has mutated through the meticulous engineering of digital depletion techniques and the influence of a culture gasping for instant gratification and illusory connection into a state of forced existential fluidity. You are a liquid being, shaping and flowing in response to every click, every notification, every trivial request, every transient current of opinion. The walls of yourself, the boundaries of your consciousness, have become dangerously porous, allowing the external world, with all its noise, superficiality, and contradictions, to flood inward without filtration, without resistance, occupying your inner space and obscuring the features of your true identity. Absolute availability is, in its philosophical essence, a declaration of bankruptcy of the individual self, a voluntary or involuntary abdication of the right to choose, of the freedom of self-determination, of the ability to say no, not just to others, but to the demanding world in its entirety. You have become a transit point, an endless receiving station for the demands of the digital and material universe, instead of being an authentic source of action and meaning. And this fluidity, this constant exposure, has dire consequences that extend beyond mere feelings of exhaustion or wasted time. It is a systematic erosion of higher human faculties. Its first victim is deep focus, that mental faculty which has distinguished the greatest human achievements throughout history. Deep focus requires mental solitude, disconnection from distractions, a deliberate immersion in the sea of an idea or skill. But how can this immersion occur when your mind is constantly bombarded by waves of notifications, messages, and calls? We have become a nation of shallow surfers, jumping from one piece of information to another, from task to task, without truly delving into anything. The result is shallowness in understanding, a decline in original creativity, and a loss of the ability to solve complex problems that demand sustained, deliberate thought. A mind accustomed to distraction loses its flexibility and strength, much like a muscle that isn't properly exercised. We are raising generations suffering from acquired attention deficit disorder, a direct casualty of the culture of absolute availability. The second victim is authenticity and uniqueness. When the mirror of your consciousness is constantly occupied reflecting the external world, its lights, clamor, and fluctuations. When do you get the chance to look honestly and courageously beyond the reflection? When can you be alone with yourself to listen to the whispers of your soul, to distinguish your true inner voice amidst the cacophony of borrowed voices? Constant availability relentlessly pushes us towards conforming to social molds, towards wearing masks that please others, towards adopting opinions and behaviors that guarantee acceptance and integration. We become excessively social beings, but we lose connection with our unique, individual essence. This alienation from the self, as described by existential philosophers and humanistic psychologists, is a profound source of anxiety, suffering, and a sense of emptiness. We live lives that don't truly resemble us, repeat words that aren't our own, and pursue goals we haven't consciously chosen, all in a desperate attempt to maintain our available and socially acceptable image. The courage to say no, not only to others but also to the internal pressures driving us towards conformity and compliance, is a fundamental prerequisite for reclaiming lost authenticity. But how can this courage grow in an environment that rewards availability and penalizes individuality? The third, and perhaps most dangerous victim, is deep meaning and higher purpose. A meaningful life, as researchers into the depths of the human psyche affirm, is not just a series of momentary pleasures or material successes. It is a life directed towards a goal that transcends the self, towards a value worth sacrificing and striving for, towards a mission that one feels responsible for fulfilling. Discovering this purpose and formulating this meaning is not a process that happens by chance or amidst preoccupation with the external world. It requires an inner exploratory journey, moments of solitude and deep reflection, an honest dialogue with the self about values, principles, and true passion. But how can this journey begin or continue when we are submerged up to our ears in the sea of constant availability? Our perpetual busyness responding to external stimuli, chasing short-term goals imposed by consumer culture or frenetic competition, steals the time and mental energy needed to ponder the big questions. What is my unique role in this existence? What are the principles I want to live and die for? How can I use my limited talents and abilities to serve a higher value? In the absence of these reflective pauses, in the absence of protected spaces of unavailability, life transforms into a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. We become mere leaves in the wind, tossed about by the currents of events and circumstances, lacking an inner compass, potentially reaching the end only to find ourselves empty skeletons, like the one in the picture, contemplating a meaningless void. Therefore, stop being available is not merely a strategy to increase productivity. It is an existential imperative for preserving our humanity. It is a bold call to redefine value. A person's worth does not lie in how quickly they respond to an email, the number of likes they receive, or the number of meetings they attend. Their true value lies in the depth of their thought, the authenticity of their spirit, the mastery of their craft, the sincerity of their relationships, the strength of their principles, and the positive impact they make on the world, originating from a solid and clear inner center. And all of these require a protected space of unavailability to grow and flourish. Here we draw inspiration from the wisdom of the Stoic philosophers who emphasized the necessity of distinguishing between what is within our control and what lies outside it. The demands of the external world, people's opinions, the flood of information, all are outside our direct control. What we truly possess is our choice of how to respond, and before that, our choice of what we allow to reach and shape our consciousness. Stopping being available is the practice of this choice. It is an assertion of sovereignty over our inner citadel. It is the application of the principle, focus on what you can control, and the most precious thing you can control is the gateway of your attention. We draw inspiration from depth psychology, which stresses the importance of the inner world as a source of strength, creativity, and healing. Excessive availability to the external world turns this inner world into an occupied colony, lacking the clear boundaries necessary for psychological growth and spiritual integration. Building a healthy relationship with the unconscious, understanding the shadow, achieving individuation, all this requires a conscious withdrawal from the noise of the outside and a dive into the depths of the self. Calculated unavailability is necessary to create this balance, to allow the self to delve into its depths and explore its hidden treasures. Contemplative traditions, both Eastern and Western, emphasize the power of silence and stillness. In this conscious stillness, the chatter of the superficial ego fades, and the opportunity arises to hear the voice of inner wisdom, or perhaps the voice of transcendent truth. Constant availability is the antithesis of this stillness. It is a state of perpetual noise that obscures our view of reality as it is and prevents us from experiencing deep inner peace. Stopping being available is a deliberate act of creating spaces of this sacred stillness, oases for the soul in the desert of contemporary noise. It is not a negative emptiness, but a fullness with a deeper presence. And as hinted earlier, these concepts resonate deeply and are entirely consistent with the balanced Islamic perspective on life. The emphasis that time is life, and that a person is responsible for their life in how they spent it, and for their youth in how they utilized it, forms the core of this philosophy. Prioritizing rights, the rights of God, the rights of the self, and the rights of creation, as outlined in the noble prophetic tradition, cannot be achieved without a conscious discernment between what is important and what is less important, between what is necessary and what is merely a distraction. Practices such as contemplative seclusion, khalwa, for reflection and remembrance, dhikr, spiritual retreats, i'tikaf, in houses of God, night vigils, tahajjud, in the depths of the night, silence from idle talk, lagv, and commendable detachment, zuhud, from the fleeting adornments of this world, all represent practical applications of the philosophy of unavailability to that which distracts from the ultimate purpose, and complete availability to that which brings one closer to it. It is not a rejection of life, but a wise management of life to achieve its highest aims. It is an invitation for a person to be wise and discerning, kayasan fatina, knowing how to invest their limited breaths in what endures in impact and extends in benefit. So, what are the practical steps to translate this profound philosophy into lived reality? How can an individual build their inner fortress and reclaim sovereignty over their time and attention in a world constantly seeking to penetrate and deplete them? First, the cognitive courage to diagnose the ailment. We must honestly and bravely acknowledge the extent of our submission to the culture of absolute availability and pinpoint precisely the weak points in our inner defenses. Where are the breaches through which the thieves of time and attention infiltrate? Is it social media? Is it the email we check every minute? Is it the habit of saying yes to every request without thinking? Is it the fear of solitude or silence? Accurate diagnosis is half the cure. Second, formulate a personal charter for focus. Draft a set of personal principles and rules that will govern how you engage with your time and attention. Be clear and specific. For example, I will not check my phone for the first hour after waking up and before sleeping. I will allocate 2 hours daily for deep work without any internet connection. I will respond to non-urgent messages only at designated times. I will politely decline any invitation or request that doesn't align with my major priorities. This charter is the constitution of your inner kingdom. Third, engineer an environment resistant to distraction. Don't rely solely on your willpower. It's a limited resource. Design your physical and digital environment to support your focus and resist distraction. Delete unnecessary apps from your phone. Turn off non-essential notifications. Arrange your workspace to be free of visual clutter. Use tools and software that aid concentration and block distracting websites. Make accessing focus easy and accessing distraction difficult. Fourth, deliberately train the attention muscle. Focus, like any skill, can be developed with practice. Regularly engage in concentration exercises, such as mindfulness meditation, deep reading of demanding books, or even just sitting and observing your thoughts without getting carried away by them. Every minute spent in deliberate focus strengthens your ability to resist distraction in the future. Fifth, redefine connection and relationship. Free yourself from the illusion that numerous superficial interactions equate to genuine connection. Invest your time and energy in building fewer, but deeper and more sincere relationships. Relationships built on quality presence and genuine mutual care. Learn the art of deep listening, being fully present when you are with another person. This is the essence of human connection, and it doesn't require constant availability, but rather focused presence at the right moments. Quality is far more important than quantity when it comes to true human connection. Sixth, embrace mental and spiritual convalescence periods. Just as the body needs rest after exertion, the mind and spirit need periods of unavailability to restore balance and clarity. Don't view moments of emptiness, boredom, or stillness as wasted time, but as precious opportunities for internal processing, free reflection, and allowing new ideas to emerge. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries come during moments of conscious non-doing. Implementing these principles is not an overnight transformation. It is an ongoing journey, requiring patience, perseverance, and constant awareness. There will be moments of weakness and relapse. That is normal. The important thing is to always return to the core principle. You are the master of your inner kingdom, the guardian of the gates of your attention. Always remember that contemplative skeleton. It is not just a symbol of death, but perhaps a symbol of life stripped bare of falsehood, the naked truth we must confront and build our existence upon. It whispers to us through its silence. Before you perish and become mere bones, will you truly live as a conscious, choosing being? Or will you remain merely an available echo for every call, tossed by the waves of the world until you vanish without meaningful trace? Stop being available is not a rejection of the world, but a deeper embrace of the self and of authentic life. It is the reclaiming of the power to choose, to focus, to create, to love deeply, and to build an existence with weight, meaning, and value that transcends the limits of superficial availability. It is the path to truly being present, not just as a body moving through space, but as a conscious spirit charting its own course towards truth and light. It is an invitation to refine your essence in the silence of focus, so that your brilliance may be bright, strong, and truly impactful when you choose to shine upon the world. For that is true strength, and that is the greatest victory of the human spirit.